Yo, I knew this was going to be a thing. I was just waiting for it to come out. Of course minors were involved. Of course they were, allegedly. I hate saying allegedly. I didn't think the Diddy situation was going to get this bad. I knew it was going to get worse, but I didn't think it was going to get this bad. Maybe some, like, older teenagers get involved? No. No. Not this one. 10-year-old boy. What do you think Diddy did to him?
New allegations against Sean Diddy Combs, and these are some of the most horrific yet. A man says he was just 10 years old when the rapper allegedly drugged and sexually assaulted him during what was supposed to be an audition, sending him back to his parents crying and in pain. The latest lawsuits against the music mogul seem to reinforce previous claims made in both civil and criminal court, and we're going to break down these most recent allegations right now. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. On Monday, Texas attorney Tony Busby's law firm filed 2 new lawsuits in New York State Supreme Court.
How many are we at now? I don't even know. I haven't been keeping track.
Alleging that music superstar Sean Diddy Combs sexually assaulted 2 underage boys in the early 2000s, and one of them was allegedly just 10 years old at the time. As if these allegations couldn't get worse. Now, we've been closely following the legal drama that's been stalking Sean Combs, and right now, as we know, he's locked up in the Metropolitan Detention Center out in Brooklyn. He's been denied
I love how he says, stalking Sean Combs. I think he did that on purpose.
bond twice. His attorneys, though, they plan to try for a 3rd time to get him out of lockup as he waits for trial. He's now going to be petitioning the new judge overseeing this case, Judge Arun Subramanian. And we actually just learned that when it comes to where he's...
I have a prediction. I think he's going to get let out. I really do. I think they're going to let him out. I think he's too involved with too important of people.
locked up, multiple agencies are investigating the Metropolitan Detention Center, the MDC, maybe looking into the conditions, maybe doing a sweep of contraband in the area. We did actually a whole sidebar episode dedicated to that because the circumstances in that facility are pretty horrific. And we were wondering whether or not Sean Combs and the notoriety of his case has facilitated or has led to this investigation. We talked about it. You can check it out on our Law and Crime YouTube channel.
I'm surprised he lived this long, honestly.
It should be up there right now. Now, as we get into these latest developments, I have to warn you. I have to give you a trigger warning here. These details are not only unimaginable, but they're horrifying. They're horrifying. They can be incredibly difficult to listen to. I gotta tell you, I was reading these lawsuits and I even winced because it's so just disgusting. It's incredibly disturbing. But look, this is a legal case now, and it's important to understand what the victims are alleging, the legal basis for their claims, what evidence they may have to support their claims, and the impact that this could have on Sean Combs and, of course, his criminal case. So with that in mind, we're going to talk about it. Now, before we even get into the actual claims of this lawsuit, I have to give you a brief background about where we're at. So a grand jury in the Southern District of New York indicted Sean Combs on federal charges of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He was arrested on September 16th. He's been, as I said, behind bars ever since.
You can't forget how it all actually started, because it didn't start with that. It started with celebrities coming out and talking about it. Specifically, 50 Cent and P. Diddy and that one chick, I can't remember her name. Wright, I think was her last name.
After being denied bail. And prosecutors say that Combs used his money, his influence, to organize what are called freak-offs. These are essentially orgies that involved hiring male sex workers, procuring drugs, and then filming these sex acts. That he used force, fraud, coercion to get what he wanted. That he engaged in a campaign of sexual exploitation and abuse of women. By the way, what do I talk about all the time on Sidebar? I talk about the law, right? Shocker, law and crime. I talk about the law, but I also talk about legal rulings, legal decisions. And right now, I got a landmark one for you that has just changed things in a very big way because you can now legally trade on who will win the 2024 election. Yes, this is legal, and that's because our sponsor of Sidebar, Folly, went to court and won legal approval for election trading for the first time in over 100 years. So not only can you essentially bet on the 2024 presidential election winner, but with Folly you can bet on who will control the House and Senate, who will win the swing states. You think it's pretty timely what's happening next week? And
I don't think this is a good thing. I think the market's going to get manipulated even more because of this. Oh well. Oh well.
it's not just politics, by the way. You can bet on other future events too, like
Just keep breaking
Taylor
it more.
Swift win top artist on Spotify this year. What's going to be the Rotten Tomatoes score for upcoming movies like Gladiator 2? I actually think it's going to do really well. I think it's going to be above 85%, personally. That's what I think. But anyway, there's so much more. You're going to be like, wow, I can trade on that? This is the only place to trade on events like this in all 50 states.
That's kind of cool.
Right now, you can sign
actually
up using our link, kalshi.com/sidebar, or you can scan the QR code on screen. And if you're one of the first 500 traders who deposit $100, Kalshi will give you a free $20 credit. That's kalshi.com/sidebar. The fact that Combs now faces criminal charges in federal court, though, it hasn't stopped what has been an onslaught of civil cases against him. In fact, he is facing new allegations every single week. And we told you about Tony Busby, this Texas attorney, who announced that he was going to be filing more than 100 individual civil actions against Sean Combs. And he's been true to his word. I mean, so far, Busby and his partners have filed more than a dozen of these lawsuits, with many more seemingly looming on the horizon. Combs, though, he's always denied any wrongdoing.
But lawsuits, that's not criminal cases, though. He's just being sued. Is he? I mean, I know he's under investigation for criminal stuff, but lawsuits aren't criminal. That's just going after his money. But we'll get to the criminal stuff.
Let's be clear about that. Both in federal court and in statements released by his attorneys in response to these new civil lawsuits, he's always maintained his innocence. In a statement, a representative for Combs said, Mr. Combs and his legal team have full confidence in the facts, their legal defenses, and the integrity of the judicial process. In court, the truth will prevail that Mr. Combs has never sexually assaulted anyone, adult or minor, man or woman. And when it comes to Tony Busby, Sean Combs' team had this to say: the lawyer behind this lawsuit is interested in media attention rather than the truth, as is obvious from his constant press appearances and 1-800 number. As we've said before, Mr. Combs cannot respond to every new publicity stunt, even in response to claims that are facially ridiculous or demonstratively false. And it is important.
In other words, he did too much shit he don't remember.
Important to note, while Combs has settled at least one lawsuit, like the bombshell lawsuit filed by his ex Cassandra Ventura nearly a year ago that started the whole ball rolling with this legal saga, he has not admitted any culpability. While he did apologize on Instagram after the 2016 video of him purportedly beating Cassandra Ventura at a hotel hallway surfaced by CNN. But other than that, look, to be clear, he hasn't been found liable in any court. He hasn't been found guilty of any wrongdoing in any court. So right now, he is presumed innocent.
True.
And these are allegations. They're serious allegations, but they're allegations.
That's why I'm saying I don't think it's going to stick. I think they're going to let him out. I think none of this matters. We're all making money, though, I guess. But none of this matters. Nothing's going to happen. The punishment is the trial. And waiting to be on trial. That's what his punishment is. And I don't think that's enough. Just, okay. He has 100% done at least 1% of these horrible accusations, these allegations. Even if just 1% of it's true, then he deserves to be locked up for a long time.
But having said that, what is being put out there now in the course of these new civil lawsuits is arguably even worse than what we've heard before. It's kind of hard to judge, but let me get into this, because on Monday, Tony Busby and his legal partners, they filed a suit against Combs on behalf of a John Doe who lives in California. The lawsuit states, this case seeks compensatory and punitive damages for the drugging and sexual assault of a 10-year-old boy when he met defendant Sean Combs for an audition. The conduct described herein is shockingly typical of how Combs conducted himself for many years.
I hope there's evidence of it. Well, actually, I really hope there's not evidence of it. I hope this isn't true and this is just somebody lying for money, because I don't want this to happen to any children. But I've barely seen any evidence for any of this stuff that would get them locked up. for years and years and years. I've seen evidence for stuff that'll maybe get him locked up for 6 months or a year. Everything else is just speculative and conspiracy theory at this point. I don't even know. I don't know what to believe. Everybody's just kind of grifting on these topics. They're just going with them. They're just like, I guess they're pretending that the allegations are true, when really we don't actually know. It could be a situation where he got entangled with the feds and now they don't like him, so they're trying to take him out. You don't know. This could be like a straight up movie scenario, or he's completely guilty. I don't know. I know he ain't 100% innocent.
And look, that is true. Many of the allegations from Combs' accusers say they were drugged and then they were assaulted, that this is a pattern. And of course, we know when it comes to the federal charges, Combs is accused of using drugs to have people engage in those freak-off sessions. By the way, when we talk about compensatory damages, those are damages to really restore someone to whole where they were before the incident, and punitive damages are a way to punish the defendant. Okay, but back to the lawsuit. Combs isn't the only defendant named. In fact, this is very typical of a lot of the lawsuits we're seeing, because it's not just Combs, it's business entities. Because the plaintiff also alleges here misconduct by multiple companies that are associated with Sean Combs and his entertainment empire.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Includes Combs Enterprise.
Funny he mentions Empire, because I've heard that the show Empire is based on Diddy's life. And a lot of messed up things happen. A lot of murder, attempted murder, backstabbing, all kinds of crazy stuff. And that's what they put in Empire? Not even 10% of what Diddy's actual wrongdoings are like.
This is LLC, Bad Boy Entertainment LLC, there are more. The complaint reads, on the surface, each of these businesses served a legitimate purpose related to entertainment, music, and other subjects, but in reality, Combs, by and through himself and his agents, employees, and contractors, used these businesses to sexually assault, abuse, threaten, and coerce hundreds of individuals through sexual quid pro quo schemes, as well as to take advantage of individuals with impunity, thinking the victims would never seek recourse. Combs and his agents, employees, and contractors through these Combs businesses would tell victims, this is what it takes to be famous, what are you willing to do to become a star, and perform this sexual act or else, to coerce the victim into performing a non-consensual sexual act for the gratification of Combs and his cohorts.
With a little kid, no, should not be doing that. But you should be, but for an adult, like, you know better. You want to be a star? How bad you want to be a star? I don't want to be a star that bad. I'd rather just sit here in my living room and just make videos and just kind of skirt by. I don't need to be a star that bad. I can be like a little speck of space dust. Don't matter to me. I'd love to be a star, but I ain't gonna do it for that.
Now again, that is very consistent with the criminal racketeering charge that Combs faces, that he used his businesses to further illegal activities like sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson. But let's talk about the specific claims from this John Doe in this lawsuit. Again, trigger warning, very difficult to listen to, but it says, quote, in 2005, plaintiff was a 10-year-old boy interested in becoming an actor and or rapper. Plaintiff lived in the Los Angeles area and used his proximity to the entertainment industry to secure several acting roles and a part in a music video. To help their son's burgeoning career, plaintiff's parents found and hired an industry consultant through an internet ad. The consultant recommended that the family visit New York City to meet with people in the music industry. During the trip, plaintiff's consultant arranged a meeting with defendant Combs for a, quote, audition. Combs indicated that he wanted to meet with plaintiff alone first prior to meeting the family.
Don't do that. If somebody that you don't know, even a celebrity, because you don't know them, says they want to meet your child alone, don't fucking do it. Are you retarded? Are you stupid? Do you have a brain? Ridiculous.
The consultant, without plaintiff's parents, took plaintiff to the purported audition at a hotel in the same general vicinity as plaintiff's own hotel. The consultant brought plaintiff to Combs' room, but left him with Combs and told plaintiff that she would be back later.
And why would you not panic? Well, I don't know when this was. They might not have had cameras viable to hide on you. This happened like 2010 or something like that. His parents are stupid. They just could have got a hidden camera or something, or like a hidden microphone and planted it on this kid without him even knowing. You could have found out exactly what happened. But people are stupid. They don't think about these sorts of things because they think, oh, I'm gonna be famous. My kid's gonna make us millions and millions of dollars. My kid has an audition with Diddy. Could you believe it? He wants to meet him alone. You say that to anybody in the industry that's not directly connected into Hollywood, they'd be telling you, no, 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 no. You need to turn back, go somewhere else. Go to Nashville.
Plaintiff recalls other people in the room or area, but he did not know who any of the people were. So here's this claim that a consultant, I don't even know if the proper word
This
is
sounds
recruit,
ridiculous.
facilitated this meeting between this boy and Sean Combs,
I don't
seemingly convinced the parents that it was okay for him to go alone to meet one of the most famous men in the world at the time. And for anyone, of course, the allure of money and fame, that can be pretty mesmerizing, but especially, I would imagine, for a child. So keep that in mind, 10-year-old child here.
See, it's still alleged. Like, I'm not seeing any evidence. I'm just hearing it's like hearsay from the court. Just because it came from the court, that's just what they're talking about. I don't mean that's what's going down or that's what's happened. And really, that just kind of sounds like bullshit to me. It's like, what parent would leave their child alone with a bunch of random people in Hollywood and a celebrity? Do you not know what celebrities do? Like, how can you not know? It's everywhere. Forever. It's always been a thing. Celebrities are evil, money hungry, lizard people.
The complaint says, quote, plaintiff performed several rap songs for Combs. Combs complimented plaintiff on his rapping and told plaintiff that he could make him a star. Combs asked plaintiff how badly he wanted to be a star and what plaintiff would do to get to be one. Plaintiff responded, as might any 10-year-old child, that he would do anything. So at this point, one of the other people present allegedly gave this boy a soda, and after he drank it, he started to feel, quote, a little funny, but he chalked it up to being maybe just so excited about his opportunity to rap for Sean Combs. But the plaintiff now believes that that soda was drugged with either GHB, known as the date rape drug, or ecstasy, or maybe even both. And that's interesting because, again, it's not Combs accused of giving a drug drink to an alleged victim. It's one of his employees or associates or friends, people who
That's
were
usually how it
involved in
goes.
something that, like,
Hillary Clinton does the same stuff. The Clintons, where they're like, we don't have people killed. What are you talking about? We're good people. Meanwhile, they don't have to tell their lackeys behind them to kill people. They just know what needs to be done.
didn't appear to be above board and yet did it anyway. That person, although to be clear, is not named in the complaint. The complaint says, quote, after plaintiff consumed his soda and began feeling its effects, Combs told plaintiff to move closer to him, which plaintiff did. Combs then abruptly pushed plaintiff down and said words to the effect of, you have to do some stuff you don't want to do sometimes. Now, the next part of the complaint is just incredibly graphic.
That's really fucking gross. Also, kind of still sounds like bullshit. Not saying it is. You can hate on me if you want. I'm not saying it is. I'm actually like 95% in on this, but it's that 5% that's holding me back.
I'm not going to repeat it here, but essentially John Doe claims that Combs sexually assaulted him and then he lost consciousness. 10 years old. Quote, when plaintiff awoke, he began crying immediately. Plaintiff's pants were undone, and then he says that his private areas hurt badly. Combs was still present. Plaintiff cried that he wanted to go to his mom and dad. Combs replied that if plaintiff told anyone about what had happened, he would hurt plaintiff's mom and dad badly. Upon plaintiff's...
It just kind of, it seems like a movie. It seems like a really poorly written movie. It's so stupid that it just might be true, and probably is.
return, his parents immediately noticed that he was lethargic and acting differently. Although plaintiff ultimately told his parents what happened, plaintiff and his parents were terrified of the potential consequences of reporting the abuse. I want to focus on that point real quick, because assuming these allegations are true, some might say, how could you not report this to the police? Your child gets attacked. I don't care who the person is. You go to the police. The other way of looking at it is, and this is a big theme that makes its way into these lawsuits and even the criminal case, is that Combs' power, his influence, his money, that scared people from coming forward. It was what led them to engage in these activities. The fear for their lives, their fear of reprisals. And look, that will ultimately be up to a judge or a jury to decide.
That sounds like a bunch of fucking pussies to me, because I'm gonna tell you, if my kid gets fucked by a guy like Diddy, I'm going after him. I'm gonna hunt him down. Like Father of the Year, if you know what video I'm talking about. Or throwing up. Oh, that was almost bad. Where were we?
Side regarding the credibility of this John Doe if this should make its way to trial. But I just have to call that point out. Now, according to the complaint, John Doe has had serious behavioral and emotional issues since this alleged 2005 incident. He reportedly suffers from depression, panics easily, battles night terrors, and he's bringing his claim against Combs as part of the New York City Victims of Gender-Motivated Violence Protection Act. We've told you about this before. It's a law referenced by Combs' accusers, more specifically the Tony Busby clients. And what this law does is it allows an alleged victim of gender-motivated violence, where it doesn't just have to be sexual assault, by the way, it can be any kind of violence, a look-back window to file a lawsuit, even if their claims would otherwise be too old. Remember, this is in 2005. So now they have until February 2025 to file lawsuits. That's one of the reasons why you're seeing so many happen right now. According to the complaint, the requirement that the crime of violence be committed because of gender or on the basis of gender.
People were smelling blood in the water. So the sharks started circling. As soon as people started talking about the wrongdoings of Diddy and they heard that he was going down, that's when everybody pounced. Because he's lost his power. He has very, very little power anymore. And now we're at the point where everybody's so vocal about it, you can go get protection from another celebrity as long as you let them know who you are. Social media is a beautiful thing sometimes.
And due at least in part to an animus based on the victim's gender is satisfied because defendant Combs forced plaintiff to engage in a sexual interaction without consent. Plaintiff John Doe could not effectively consent because of his age. The non-consensual sexual touching of a minor herein presented a serious risk of physical injury and in fact caused such injury. Gender animus adheres when consent is absent. And the lawsuit reiterates that businesses connected to Combs could be at fault as well. It alleges the Combs businesses had knowledge and or should have had knowledge of Combs' widespread and well-known practice of committing sexual assault and gender-motivated violence, including on premises owned and or operated by defendants, and did nothing to stop it. And the plaintiff here is demanding a jury trial. Okay, so putting that horrifying lawsuit to the side, we have another one that we want to tell you about, because that is not the only man claiming that Sean Combs assaulted him in the early 2000s during the height of his career. Another
minor?
California John Doe filed a suit on Monday as well. According to the filing, this case seeks compensatory and punitive damages for a violent sexual assault that occurred at a Making the Band audition in New York. Now, as many of you might recall, Making the Band was a very popular reality show on MTV where participants lived together, they competed to become part of a new singing group.
Oh,
The
no.
show created O-Town, Danity Kane, a group known as The Band, being chosen to be...
Oh no. Bunch of black dudes living together to become famous, living with Diddy? We all know what happened.
part of the band at the end of the series, that could be life-changing. Do you remember the girl group Danity Kane? Not only they had record deals, they went on tour, but there was clothing and perfume lines. The lead singer, Aubrey O'Day, was featured on Visa debit cards at one point. So this, as you can imagine, is a huge opportunity for somebody like John Doe. His complaint says, in or around 2008, plaintiff, then 17 years old, participated in a 3-day audition for Making the Band, having seen the opportunity online and through newspaper advertisements. During the audition process, plaintiff advanced to a stage where contestants met individually in private rooms with Combs and his bodyguard. John Doe says that on the first day of the audition, he had a one-on-one interview with Combs, and Combs allegedly asked him hypothetical questions about how he would handle situations involving sexual pressure.
Bro, if any of this stuff happened to me, if I get drugged and fucked, We're gonna have a fucking blood feud, man. Like, you ain't getting away with that.
The plaintiff says as Combs was talking to him, he started groping the then 17-year-old and allegedly told him to undress. And John Doe even claims that during all of this, Combs allegedly pleasured himself. And Combs reportedly emphasized that he could make or break John Doe's career. The second day featured a longer meeting. Quote, during this interview,
Turns out John Doe turning it around on you, because these people are breaking your career.
Combs again instructed plaintiff to undress, explaining that plaintiff needed to demonstrate the ability to embody a sex idol persona, which was purportedly required for the band's image. This encounter eventually escalated into Combs forcing the plaintiff to perform oral sex on him and Combs sodomizing the plaintiff. And here's where a brand new allegation is made. According to John Doe, Combs' bodyguard, who's unnamed in the lawsuit, was not only present during the alleged sexual assault, but also participated in the sexual assault. Quote,
I bet most of them have. I bet most of the people that work for him have. They know what's going on. They were involved in it. And the reason that they are involved in it is because they wanted to be involved in it.
quote, plaintiff's facial expressions during this ordeal showed his discomfort and hesitation, prompting Combs to express dissatisfaction. Combs stated that plaintiff's demeanor suggested an intention to report the incidents, and as a result, Combs said he would be keeping an eye on plaintiff. Ultimately, this led to plaintiff's elimination from the competition, as Combs claimed that plaintiff was untrustworthy due to his reservations about performing oral sex on his bodyguard. As a result of these assaults during the audition process and plaintiff's reactions to them, plaintiff was excluded from further opportunities in the competition and was unable to return to the music industry for 7 years.
It seems like these people at the top in Hollywood, in New York apparently, just people at the top of this industry, like to sexually assault people to give them jobs. It's so weird. Why is it so many of them? And it's not just Harvey Weinstein and Diddy. There are way more throughout history. I just don't remember them right now, and I don't want to look them up.
And this John Doe is also demanding a jury trial. Now, one final note about these Tony Busby lawsuits. Aside from Sean Combs, mostly everyone else who either participated in or facilitated this alleged abuse, or allegedly did so, is not identified by name in these lawsuits. Not clear why. Could be maybe Tony Busby and the team don't know the identity of these people. Maybe they don't know the identity of the people yet. Perhaps they will be added as defendants. In fact, there's a line in the complaint that reads, plaintiff reserves the right to add as defendants any individuals, including but not limited to celebrities and business entities. Or is it possible that Tony Busby and his team know who these people are, particularly celebrities, as have been listed in other lawsuits, and maybe there is an effort to try to settle the claims with them so that they are not named in the lawsuits? Remember, he has indicated to TMZ that this is what might be happening, that people are reaching out to settle claims so they're not named. And also, look, we do...
I think some people should be named. Not named, but I think some people, it'd be cool if they came out and named themselves and like actually had the courage to stand in front of it all and be the face of this. Which is another reason why I think that it adds to the 5% of me thinking that this is all bullshit. Is that there's no face to this. Like, there's nobody actually at the face of the allegations. And apparently there are celebrities that are involved with this. And I think they're just going to end up being lawsuits. I don't think they're going to actually be, like, criminal cases.
Do not know now if these accusers or any of the Tony Busby clients will be witnesses in Combs' criminal trial. Prosecutors, they have laid out a criminal timeline.
Oh, this one's a criminal
from
trial.
2008 to 2024, so some of these allegations fall outside of that window, but does it necessarily mean that evidence and incidents like this couldn't come in?
And also, like, it's criminal, just because it's criminal trial doesn't mean that it's all true. Doesn't mean that any of it's true. And it still could mean that he gets sued over these things even though they're not illegal. Like, if he didn't do anything illegal. Which I'm 100% sure. Well, I wouldn't say 100. I would say 98% sure that he was doing some majorly illegal shit. Of course he was doing some things illegal. Everybody does. Who doesn't?
However, it does become a question of how expansive a criminal case prosecutors want to move forward with. I don't imagine it's going to include every allegation against Sean Combs. As of now, they seem to be really focused on the freak-offs particularly. But what I will say is that given what we're hearing lately, more and more claims about Sean Combs allegedly abusing minors, you do have to wonder if Combs is hit with a superseding indictment, meaning you go to the grand jury to present new evidence of new crimes. You can add additional charges, amend charges. You have to wonder whether he will be hit with charges related to minors, very similar to R. Kelly's federal case. Obviously, it would have to fit within the federal charges. The claims would have to be vetted, but I will tell you this much. If you have federal charges related to minors, his defense radically changes. But what we do know is that these allegations against Sean Combs continue, and they are getting more and more disturbing. That's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. Speak to you next time.
What do you think? Did he do it? I think he did. But it's still all alleged. Most of it, there's some stuff that's not alleged, that you still have to say allegedly, because there are things that are alleged tied around it, such as the freak-offs. Freak-offs are not alleged. They happen. Some of the things that happen at the freak-offs are alleged, like satanic worship and voodoo stuff, which there's definitely some voodoo stuff going on, but who knows if it's actual real voodoo or not. And if this guy doesn't get locked up for life, he's going to have a vendetta, and he's probably going to go after a lot of these people. And just because he's going to prison doesn't mean that he's not going to be powerful when he gets out, because all these people that were doing all this illegal shit, he's still going to have ties to. And they're still going to talk to him. They're still going to hang out with him. They're still going to work for him. They're still going to all make money. Maybe not as much. Maybe not with the same people. He ain't going to be doing celebrities no more. Maybe he'll move on to politicians. I just heard that Gavin Newsom is proposing a tax cut for Hollywood so the people would stop leaving. Production companies stop leaving. It's just another sign that the industry is burning to the ground. And you know what? If they can't leave kids out of it, they kind of deserve it. Not kind of. They do.